Sports Radio 93.7 The Fan. Now back to the Cook and Joe Show presented by JP Roofing and Siding. This is the Cook and Joe Show. Ron Cook and Joe Starkey. Sports Radio 93.7 The Fan.
My. Things not going well for our Pittsburgh Steelers. Bob Pompiani in studio. He is brought to you by PNC Bank. PNC make today the day. Off the top, brought to you by JP Roofing and Siding. And Mr. Ron Cook is somewhere in Wisconsin. Ron, I hope and pray that we're connected here, and I'd like to know your exact location is what I'd like to know. Where are you?
Joe, good morning. I actually drove down from Green Bay to Milwaukee last night. I'll fly out of Milwaukee this afternoon with the Curious connection. I go, are you ready for this? I go from Pittsburgh. I'm embarrassed to say this. I go from Pittsburgh to Orlando and then Orlando to Pittsburgh. How about that, huh?
Wait, what? Where are you flying out of?
I'm in Milwaukee right now.
So Milwaukee to Orlando to Pittsburgh.
Yeah, it makes sense, right?
That's crazy. Would you like to say hello to Bob? Bob, would you like to exchange pleasantries?
Well, Ron, good morning. It's going to be a long day. That's all I can say.
Well, that's all right. I signed up for this job. I knew what I was getting into, so stupid me to make that kind of a connection. But I hope you guys are well, better than the Steelers.
Pretty much everybody in the NFL is better than the Steelers. You should actually be glad you're not here today, Ron. The air conditioning broke in here. It's about 1,000 degrees. Bob is threatening to play strip poker as the show goes on. He may be naked by the end of the show.
I'm glad. I really am glad I'm not
It won't
there.
be good for ratings on the stream stuff, but, what the hell.
Can you believe how hot it is in here?
It's pretty hot.
Why do you have a sweatshirt on?
Because
still?
I thought it wasn't going to be hot. It normally is cold.
I know, but then once you discovered it
because
was
I don't
hot,
want to
you'd
show
think
you
the
what
sweatshirt
lies underneath. That's why.
A shirt. Don't you have a normal shirt underneath?
I do.
Oh, what kind of shirt?
It's a golf shirt, like you're wearing.
All right.
So
all right.
I won't ask.
Eventually
it may come
something,
off. I don't know. Eventually
something strange. All right. Well, Bob sitting across from me, looking dapper. Horse behind the glass, and Ron is in Wisconsin. Let's get to it here. Same thing I ask you guys after every loss. Well, every game, which is a loss. And that is your headline. What's the headline from this game? Ron, you were there.
They're just a mess. They stink offensively. They stink defensively. I was really disappointed in the defensive effort yesterday. I've come to expect very little from the offense, and they gave me very little other than the one bend pass to Deontay Johnson for the long touchdown. The defense hasn't stopped the run in 2 games in a row. They had everybody back yesterday. They're not going to get Alualu back. I'm not sure if they're going to get to it at all. But the only chance they have to win games is for the defense to play great, and it wasn't great. And man, I'll tell you, it just seems to be getting worse and worse, Bob.
Yeah, the headline for me is the offense is completely stalled, and something has to give at some point. It seems to me that there's a disconnect between the offensive coordinator and the quarterback. Mike Tomlin at some point will have to intercede here if that is the case. And again, I'm just basing it on what I see, because you can't continue to throw 4th down plays behind the line of scrimmage and expect it to work with no blocking. And it seems like that seems to be the way it's going right now. And, Ben Roethlisberger, clearly a Hall of Fame quarterback, but he's lost his fastball in the regard that he can't extend plays the way he once did. And if that's the case, that really does handcuff the offense. And despite that beginning yesterday, which I thought was good, because your guys, they ran the ball 4 times on that first drive, and I thought that's good. You got to keep doing that in drives to create play action, but play action never materializes. And when it doesn't materialize, you're not fooling anyone, even if you do run successfully.
Yeah, the headline to me is the quarterback again this week. And is this the end? Again, a national, I think, audience watched that yesterday, and he was scattershot, armed. He couldn't move at all. Tom Brady is significantly more mobile than Ben if you watch the game last night.
He had a 9-yard run when they needed 9 to get a first down.
And he's just more spry, and that's saying something. He's the slowest moving quarterback in the league, and again, that's the story, the headline, whatever, to me, is what do you do with this quarterback and this offense right now? And if you want to boil it down to a couple plays that should have been touchdowns to Juju, man, that's the first time I said to myself, would Mason Rudolph have made both those throws accurately yesterday? Like, would they actually be better off right now with Mason? And Ron, Bob had Chris Hoke in for the post game yesterday in the studio at KDKA, and our friend Hokie was highly critical of Ben. And you asked him point blank, should they go to Rudolph, Bob? And Hokie's answer was, quote, you have to start entertaining it right now because I believe Ben is a little bit of a liability for the Steelers offense because he can't move. He went on to say, Ben is putting them in a very difficult situation. He's in the same spot 90 to 95% of the time. They're not moving the pocket. They're not doing play action. They're not doing any kind of rolling out. Ben can't move. He can't step up in the pocket. Hokie said there are times he's getting hit and there is a pocket he could step up into, and he's still not doing it. He basically called for a quarterbacking change, and whatever else might be going on with the Steelers, that to me, that's the headline, Ron, is what do you do with this guy?
Well, certainly a fair topic and certainly something I think Tomlin has to think about. Now, you guys tell me. I'm a little confused. I thought that Ben overthrew Juju a couple of times, yet I heard Juju after the game taking blame, saying he should have made those catches. That's not the way I saw it, but then somebody in the press box said that our friend Vince Williams had tweeted out that Juju had to make that one catch. Did I see it wrong?
Which one, Ron?
Everybody else
the first or the
on
second one, did Ben say?
It was the first one.
The first one.
Yeah, I saw it.
Well, that's interesting because
I didn't see it that way. I mean, I thought it was strictly an overthrow, but then Juju comes in after the game to meet with us and was all forlorn, saying those are plays I should make. I didn't read the ball right. I knew it was going to come out.
Don't those guys
fast.
always say that, though?
Off of it.
Ben's going to say it's his fault.
No,
Juju's going to say it's his fault. No?
No, I don't think so. Not the receivers. The quarterback always takes the blame, but I don't think the receivers do. I don't know. Maybe I saw the play wrong. I thought they were strictly overthrows.
Yeah, I did too, and I think receivers are always going to tell you that they want to make the play or should have made the play. Give me a chance, I'll make a play. But, obviously those are plays that have to be made. And if you are the quarterback of this team and that separation occurs and you have 6 points lying there for you, that's a big play in the game. He missed them twice. And then again, the checkdowns and the repeated dumps. And again, I think Hokie was right in the sense that there are opportunities for Ben to move up in the pocket, which he would regularly do, create more time, and that's typically what happens. You're asking your offensive lineman to keep guys to the outside, and you move up, create 2 more seconds, 1 more second, whatever it is, and we're not seeing that at all. In fact, it's a question of getting the ball out as quickly as possible, and that's one thing. Last week, we saw Aaron Rodgers get it out in 2.1 seconds or whatever it was, but his yards per catch were the best in the NFL. So at 2.1 seconds, he was still getting the ball down the field and making plays.
Well, back to the Juju plays, it's interesting on the first one, Maurice Jones-Drew I saw this morning on NFL Network say, you got to catch that, Juju. Now, Tony Romo, in real time, his quote was, Ben's going to want that one back. The second one, to me, was more questionable. It looked like an alligator arm, and it looked like Juju didn't pick up the ball in time. But either way, on those two and a bunch more, including the second series. A lot of people talk about the second series of the game, how they were pinned a little bit. Najee has a nice run. Well, why are you throwing? Because they gave you an easy pitch and catch. That's why. It was an easy pitch and catch to Deontay, and Ben throws it in the dirt. And he's overthrowing people. Maybe they were catchable, but they certainly were not good throws, let alone elite throws. Maybe they're makeable plays. I don't know. You have different opinions from guys who played in the NFL. But he's all over the place. He's not making the throws that need to be made. Ron?
That's the way I saw it too. Again, I mean, I was really surprised what Juju said. I thought they were bad throws, and you're right. He's not making the throws for whatever reason. I mean, he still has the arm strength. I think. I don't know where his accuracy has gone. It's definitely not what it was, and not what it needs to be, Bob.
Wait, so you think you would have expected Juju to go in there and say they were bad throws and it wasn't his fault?
No, I would have expected. I was totally shocked that he said what he said because I've never heard him say that before. I thought he would just say, the passes didn't work, whatever. He doesn't have to blame anybody. I just didn't think he was going to take that kind of blame. That surprised me because I totally disagree that it was his fault. I thought it was more Ben's fault for not getting him the ball.
How about the idea of replacing Ben? Because that's what this goes back to. Chris Hoke said basically Bob said it's time. Do I have that accurately?
Yeah, no,
I was watching
absolutely.
it and taping it.
And last week, I think we both agreed that after the interception to Logan Wilson, I would have taken him out in that game just because they needed something to happen, and it wasn't happening in a home game that they have to win after losing one the week before. It's never an easy thing, but at some point, if this continues, I mean, how long is this continuing is the question. They have 2 games before a bye
What would
week.
lead you to believe it won't?
Just because of Ben is a Hall of Fame quarterback, and I think it's difficult for the organization to make that call when, you're dealing with a Hall of Fame quarterback. I don't think that's the way it should be handled, but I think that's it.
No, but you said if this continues, this poor play, and my
think?
question was, what would lead you to believe it won't?
Well, I went into this past game, Joe and Ron, thinking they were going to run the ball heavy. I really thought they were, and when they ran the ball for the first 6 plays, I think it was. And then the first time they got the ball back after the defense stopped, they ran the ball well again. And then all of a sudden, the rest of the way, there were only 6 or 7 runs. It became Ben doing what Ben wants to do. And therein lies a bigger problem, I think, Ron. There could be this disconnect. Matt Canada has a vision of what the offense wants to be based on his way of thinking, and Ben Roethlisberger has his way of thinking. And if that's the case, at some point, I think, Mike Tomlin has to step in and try to figure out, you got to make a choice here. You can't have this same – because I didn't think we were going to see the same thing week after week. We saw 2 of the same plays we saw last week, which were 4th down plays thrown behind the line of scrimmage with no chance of succession. No chance.
Well, it's not just that. He's missing people. On the second one, he looked skittish. He was going to throw to Najee no matter what. And every replay you saw, Freiermuth got off the line and was wide open, Ron. He's just not seeing things. Is it time this week to replace him?
You know what? I'm not yet. I'm going to probably give him 2 more weeks at the bye week. Certainly, Tomlin's got to think about it. And I thought that, his one line yesterday was pretty telling when he was asked about why the big plays aren't hitting. And he goes, we got to do that when we got to hit those. I thought that was very telling what he said. I don't think he'll make a change this week. Maybe he'll surprise me tomorrow. Certainly, he's got to think about it. But I think I would probably stay with Ben. Unless this week is another absolute disaster, I'd probably give him to the bye week and see if he can turn it around.
What's the argument for Ben, Ron?
Just like Bob said, I mean, I've seen him turn things around before because he is a Hall of Fame quarterback. I'm going to give him maybe an extra chance or 2 that I wouldn't give to somebody else to turn it around, and maybe he won't. And then I think you start fresh after the bye week if you're going to make a change, Bob.
Yeah, the only thing with that is they've already lost 3 in a row, 2 at home, and they have 2 home games. And if this does continue and they sacrifice another home game, they're in really bad.
Would you make the change this week or no?
I'm at this point, I'm going to go 1 more game. And if I see it 1 more game, then I'm making a change. And if I see the same kind of things that I'm seeing, which is what I would have to judge this on, overthrows. But I'm going to defer for 1 more week that he's going to get this together. And if he doesn't, and if the same kind of thing, holds on, I think you got to make a switch at that point. And listen, this is nothing against him as his legacy. Everybody knows what that is, what he's done. But you have to be realistic about how this is going, and you have to be critical about how this is going. I think he would understand that. He's taken a lot of blame himself, so he would know how this goes. But it's up to him now to make it work. And I still believe this disconnect is there. And I don't think that's a good thing when you're on a different page as your offensive coordinator.
Yeah, I sort of soft-pedaled last week that I wouldn't have a problem if they made the change. I would probably make it. This week I would. You know, I'm with Hokie. I think I've seen enough. He can't move, and this offensive line is. I mean, that's part of what's happening here. He's going to be a function of his offensive line, and he's just a sitting duck back there. You know.
Well, that's a bad combination.
I thought the line played a little better yesterday.
So did I. I did actually.
You know, not talking about damning them with praise. I mean, setting the bar low. I thought they were actually a little better. There was some room for Najee to run, and Ben didn't get hit nearly as much as he has been in the past.
He got hit, though, and the other thing is they were playing a defense that doesn't have a great pass rush. So, I don't know. Horse, is Von Miller ready to go? I saw he got hurt yesterday. Is he ready to go next week?
Oh, yeah, he's ready to go.
Who's the other guy they got? Chubb, is he healthy?
No, Chubb is not going to go.
How's their pass rush?
They're pretty
Pass
good.
rush is fine.
Their defense is good. It'll be a good test. And like I said, it's another AFC game. This is why, the longer you wait and the longer this continues, the less chance you have of turning this around. So that's what's at stake here this week. It's a very important game from that point of view. So they have to win it. They have to win the next two, in my view, and get to a bye week at 3-3, and then just try to figure where they are at that point. Because you come right back at Cleveland. The way the Cleveland Brown defense is playing right now, it's going to be tough no matter who's quarterback.
412-928-9370. 412-928-9370. Is it time, as Chris Hoke suggests, to replace Ben? Were there plays yesterday that you feel like Mason Rudolph would have made? Do they need a quarterback who can move around a little more? The offense, as Bob said, looks 0 bit different. It looks no different. I see nothing except a gadget play. It's not like the old coordinators didn't have gadget plays in their playbook. I see nothing different. There's no use of the fullback. It's a bunch of short passes. That includes nothing
different with the pass-run ratio. Again, it got out of whack, and there was no reason for that yesterday. I thought Green Bay, they are not good at stopping the run, and I would have pounded that. I would have continued to pound that. But again, play action only works. Chris said it well yesterday on television. When your quarterback turns his back to the defense, and you can actually use that to your advantage, and Ben's not doing that. So play action is null and void when you don't do that.
And also, who's most responsible for this loss? It sounds like Bob and I would choose the offense. Ron, you would choose the defense. Is that right?
Well, the offense certainly stinks. I mean, there's no other way to look at it, but I always believed that they had a chance to win games, even despite the offense, if the defense showed up, and I thought it was just horrible yesterday, allowing the scores on 5 drives in a row, and with as healthy as they're going to be, having Watt back and having Highsmith back.
Do you think Watt was healthy? That to me is their only.
Yeah, he played. Said he played the whole game. I didn't see him do too much. He had 2 sacks, but I thought they were 2 of the worst sacks I've ever seen. He got away with a trip on the one, and then the other one was right at the very end of the game. I just was very disappointed with how the defense played, fully realizing that the offense is just terrible, and they got to figure out a way to win with defense, and they didn't do that for me.
Looked to me like Watt was hobbled. After the game, he said he wouldn't put a percentage on it. What'd you think, Bob? I didn't think he was himself at all.
No, I don't think he was himself, and I don't think he was a factor in that game, despite those 2 sacks and despite he recovered from all that. I expected more out of him yesterday, and I think being the guy that he is on this team, they need more out of him. But, bottom line is they had too many guys running free. Again, the middle of the field, Devin Bush is not doing what they drafted him to do, and I think that's a concern. Joe Schobert can't cover as well as I thought he could cover when they acquired him, so they got a lot of problems.